And hello to everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the For Men podcast. My name is Andrea C. Palmer, and this podcast is primarily my intention was for men that have experienced sexual abuse, but really just to overall talk about the male experience in the world and to advocate for men. And so today I am very pleased to have a guest, and Dan Reid, who I found on Instagram just scrolling through doing my own little research and finding different sites that promote supporting men, talking about men and the male experience, and finding this awesome group of guys that are just going for a walk and hanging out together. And so, Dan, thank you and welcome to the podcast.
No problem. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
Yeah, so I gave a little bit of information there, but tell us, if you don't mind, a little bit about who you are and where you're from, and what do you do outside of men walking and talking?
Okay, yeah. So my name's Dan. I live in Shropshire, which is a county in England. I outside of men walking and talking, I work in a secondary school with kids who find it difficult to reintegrate into mainstream school. So I support them in that. And yeah.
Yeah, how long have you been doing that, working at the school?
Not very long. Not very long. This particular job, only about a month. So I've just changed jobs. So yeah. So it's all new stuff. So yeah.
Very exciting career change there, though.
Yeah. It's it can be intense, but it's rewarding as well. So so that's good. Yeah.
Definitely, yes. I myself have worked with kids that had special needs, so just just working with kids in general, the things that they say and their experiences and their views on life are always very refreshing from when you're used to talking to adults all the time and then you hear from a kid. Yeah,
I suppose
definitely.
they don't really have the filters that we have, I suppose.
Exactly. I think that's a perfect way of saying the filter is completely different for them. Yes.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's your main job there. And then you have men walking and talking, right?
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. That's the name. So it's a space really that I wanted to start for men to just feel safe to open up and feel safe to talk about more in-depth things if they want to, more emotional things if they want to, but also if they just want to listen and just partake in that way, then they can do that. And it's just a no pressure, non-judgmental, safe space, really. Yeah.
It's just, I love it because it always just seems like just a casual outing of you guys all just getting together from different walks of life. Yeah. How many men usually join you, and how often do you guys meet?
So I've started another group this week. So we have two groups running now. One in a town. So there's two towns. I live between two towns. So each town has a walk now, one night a week. And then so we had about 20 guys last week, which was fantastic. At the group that I've had running for a little while longer, and then we had about 10 at the other group that started this week. So it's really good.
Yeah, that's definitely a lot. Yeah. And what are the two towns?
Shrewsbury and Telford are the two towns that I live in between. Yeah.
Awesome. Wow. It's definitely growing.
Yeah, and that's it. I didn't really foresee it growing this much this quickly, but it's fantastic that it is. And it's exactly what I wanted. It's just a little bit, maybe it was a little bit overwhelming when it did start taking off that quickly, but there you go. That's what I wanted, and that's where I want to be. So
yeah. How did you yourself really just sit down one day and come up with the idea to just start doing this?
I think so. I started going to therapy about probably a year ago now, and then started working on why I felt certain ways and why I felt so down, and why and I came to like the realization that probably for a lot of my life I hadn't really been myself. So in that, I've only started to really, like, I feel like I've only started to tap into my own potential since I went to therapy and since I started working with a life coach and things like that. So, and as I started to do that sort of work, I realized that most men have the same sort of insecurities and feelings around those, around I don't know, not feeling good enough and the pressure that comes with being a man in general. And that's why I
Yeah.
wanted to give men a space where they can just leave that at the door, leave all the bravado, leave all the um just leave everything else at the door and have a open and honest conversation, for 1 hour a week.
Yeah, I think that's,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really what it is. Yes, just working with men too. I find a lot of my clients have struggled too with even connecting with other men too, and just
Yeah,
being able to just have a few buddies for
massively.
numerous different reasons and things. So being able to just, and I find that it's necessary though to still have somebody that you can relate with that really gets your experiences. Because me being a woman, I can only understand to a certain extent. It's something very different when you talk to another man, like you said, that has that same internal pressures and has that same, values and wants to have a certain type of lifestyle as a man. That you can
Yeah.
only have that conversation with another man.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it comes with the. I totally agree, and I think it comes with the societal expectations as well, that we're kind of you're kind of given as soon as you're born. This is what is the expectation of you. You should be strong, is in physically strong. You should be mentally strong. You should be, and that's how you should portray yourself at all times. And that's
Yes,
and that is, I
yes.
think that's one of the main reasons that men have so many issues around mental health.
Yeah, I agree. I hear a lot online of people saying that they want men to be open and be more expressive with emotions, more you can cry and things. And sometimes I thought, is it men, or is it that we've never really been allowed to be comfortable with seeing men cry? Typically, if you see it in a movie or something, you're like, oh wow, that's this man crying, and yet it's very natural. You all have the ability to do this. I wonder if it's more of a society thing that we're uncomfortable with it because we expect, as you said, for you to be strong all the time.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's what I've seen of it is that we're kind of, it seems like we're moving forward in terms of accepting that now. But I think, like you
Mm-hmm.
said, if a man then cries, or a man is then starts talking about his emotions openly, there's that point, there's that cut-off point where, oh, I want you to be open, but I don't want you to be that open. If you see what I mean.
Yes, to a certain point. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like, oh, I feel very uncomfortable now. We're going to stop there. Okay, that's too much. You know?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
don't know where that comes from. I've not really put my finger on it either, of where that comes from, of where that's limiting. However, I do agree. I feel like there is a season of change that seems to be coming though. Your system of walking and talking with men, I found actually a lot of other groups of men that are just getting together, doing workouts together, doing
yeah,
yoga together, just sitting down and having groups of just meeting up and having coffee and talking about things and introducing who they are. So I like the direction that things are going. I think
yeah.
it will be better. um, what do you think, as far as like for younger generations, what do you think the benefit will be for younger generations if we keep this up?
Well, I think, well, then you can start lowering the major issues around mental health. Um, Major, like, the suicide statistics are obviously worldwide are terrible anyway, and then in this country, for certain age groups of men, are pretty shocking, to be honest. And I think, I just hope we can start to chip away at those statistics, really, and that boys don't have the same feeling about the pressure of, let's just keep it all inside, let's just suppress our emotions. I don't want kids to have to suppress anything anymore. That's the thing.
I
Boys.
completely agree with you. All kids and especially boys, yes, it's a season of change that I hope that keeps it going. Yes. And things like your program, I definitely think, I don't know if you feel some kind of way when people congratulate you on what you're doing. However, it's great. It's these
Thank you. Yeah. Thank
small
you.
things that make these bigger changes. In my opinion, yes, the small things make bigger changes.
Yeah. And I think like the vast majority of feedback I get is really positive. So and I just I don't want it to be too there's nothing complicated about it. It's just a simple way of guys feeling like they don't have to hold everything inside,
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
And with that and everything, and we're kind of coming towards the end here, is there anything that you unexpected that came from the group that you really didn't expect that to happen, a new way of thinking, something that was unexpected for you?
I think really it's the connections that I get with guys that are, we have a lot of veterans that come along. We have a lot of guys that are of an older generation, so over 60. The connections that I get with those guys are, some of the best I've had, and that they're able to. So I feel like some of them are just when they get to come along and realize that this is a space where there is no judgment and no one is going to tell them what to think. No one is going to tell them what to feel. It looks like it's like a weight off their shoulders. It feels like to me anyway.
Yes, and then the range of age that as you said, just older in life, being able to still have that connection, and or even for the first time make that connection with another guy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's what it is. It's that oh, actually it's okay. Actually it's okay if I talk about this stuff, and I don't have to be the way I was before,
It is, yes. Never too late. Never too late. Just,
exactly.
To identify those things and work through them and just connect with people. Yeah. Never too late.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I'm going to kind of start a trend here of people that come on to the podcast and ask this kind of question, because it's my podcast question, since everybody has their different view and opinion or value of what does it mean to be a man. So I'll ask you as the final question here. What does it mean to be a man?
For me, it's being unapologetically you. So not trying to be anything you're not, trying to be anyone else, and not being afraid to show and portray your emotions in whatever way you need to for you. So I think this group has kind of showed me that previously I was one of those men, those millions and millions of men that just suppressed everything and pushed everything down. And for me, just being a man, you just need, I found that I need to, the more emotion I show, the more vulnerable I am with people, the better connection you have with people, or men in general anyway. And I think asking for help is a massive thing. So it's not bad to ask for help as a man. We don't have to just dig ourselves a hole, keep digging and digging and digging until we're in a whole world of pain. We can ask for help, and that kind of ties in with also in the same way, when you start to get to the point of dealing with your emotions and dealing with how you feel, then trying to uplift other guys, uplift everyone else around you, and show them the right way to be, really.
Yeah, I really appreciate the way you put that, just being authentically you, and just not even being afraid to just ask for help and reach out to another guy, just being you. not taking it all on the shoulders there. So I appreciate that. Very, very well said. And at the end here, if somebody is interested and they're in your area, since I'm in the States, since I'm in the States, or even how can they, and maybe even they want to just connect with you over Zoom. Who knows, if you have the time,
of course.
if you're interested in that.
That would be great.
How can they find you? What is your Instagram, or how can they connect with you?
So on Instagram, I am Men Walking and Talking _. And on Facebook, I have a Facebook group, which is Men Walking and Talking.
Very awesome. All right. Thank you, Dan, for taking the time with me. As we had talked about earlier, it's my starting day and it's the end of the day. So I really do appreciate your time there. I do. And we'll stay in contact online as well. And
absolutely.
Nice
Thanks so much. Really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yeah. And for anybody listening to the podcast, if you want to get in contact with Dan, there's his Instagram and his Facebook. Thank you so much again for listening to another episode of the Podcast for Men. Always, always leave a comment, rate, subscribe, all that good stuff wherever you're listening to this. Thank you so much. And let's continue the discussion.